Guys, how's it going? It's Al, week 14 on DraftKings. We're going to talk about all the NFL DFS things on this main slate. I'm going to be taking questions from the chat for as long as my voice can stand it. I've been struggling through a bit of a cold. I'm in that post-cold area at this point where all that's left is a cough. So I apologize for the way my voice sounds today. I apologize that I'm going to have cough drops in my mouth for the entire video. And I apologize if I have to pause to cough. Bear with me. I will still be giving you all the information that I have and answering every question to the best of my ability. The cheat sheet is posted in our community Discord. Go to smizzle.tv/Discord. You can become a server subscriber in there for $5 a month directly in Discord. When you pay, you will get, your name will turn green and you get access to all the VIP channels as well as that cheat sheet channel that's locked behind the paywall. You can also become a channel member here on YouTube. Both have the same perms in Discord. Smizzle.tv/join to become a channel member here. And then you go to Discord. There's a whole linking thing in the hashtag instructions folder that will walk you through linking your accounts. So if you don't want to deal with the linking, just subscribe straight in Discord. It's much easier, much more straightforward way for you to get access to our community there. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
Smizz Gang Listener League is posted. You got to go to smizzle.tv/links if you wanted to get the link to join it. It is not available in the DraftKings lobby because it is the best tournament that exists on DraftKings. $10 to enter, 3 max, really flat, fair prize pool. 10% of the entire prize pool goes to first, 10% of first goes to 10th, and I believe that it's 2x your entry fee if you make it into the money. So it is a very fair and balanced prize pool that we have here and the payout arc that we have, and it's absolutely no rake. Something that you should be conscious of. Do your missions, grind your crowns, get your achievements. All the crowns are $550. Sorry, 550 crowns equals $1. Every single 550 crowns you get is rake back to you. And this tournament, absolutely no rake. You can use your missions on it too if you have any that are $10 or lower. You can get extra crowns and make it like a negative rake tournament. So make sure to go to smizzle.tv/links and join the Listener League today. Here's the slate that we have. We have 11 games on this one. Lions and the Bears, 43 total. Rams and the Ravens, total of 40. Texans and the Jets, 33.5. Texans are going to be interesting too because the Jets are a really tough defense, like a really, really tough defense. And the Texans have less wide receivers to play with, which means that Nico Collins is almost certainly going to get the sauce. Colts and Bengals, 44 is the total there. Colts 2-point underdogs. How many times have we seen the Colts give up like 30 points to opponents and like also be able to push them and score touchdowns themselves? Very interesting game here. I think it might go over the total. Interesting game to stack. Panthers and the Saints, 37.5. Buccaneers and the Falcons, 41. Jaguars and the Browns. Right now, as we sit, it's Friday morning, 9:30 on the West Coast, the best coast, and the book is telling us that they don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to play this week. High ankle sprain for him. We watched him walk off the field. The entire state of Florida, there wasn't one golf cart. Not one. Not a single golf cart. Couldn't find one to get your all-world quarterback, carried to the locker room. We couldn't cart him off. No way. We have some interesting value in this game, and they've said that Trevor Lawrence is a game-time decision. Monitor that. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to play. The book doesn't think Trevor Lawrence is going to play, but the Jaguars are hanging it out there that there is like a possibility that he'll play. Seahawks travel to the San Francisco 49ers. Niners favored by 11.5. 47 total here. Raiders and Vikings, 40. Bills and Chiefs, the headline game of the day, 49. There are ways that you can stack this one. We also have some injuries that we have to monitor there. Broncos and the Chargers at 44. That's what we got. Let me bring in the chat. And if the moderators, if you guys can do a Frostbite, can you run the polls for the cash game lineup for the chat? We'll get the cash game core from the chat. We'll do a pick 'em on underdog for that as well. DS, is it a Justin Fields cash game week? I think that he's extremely viable. I mean, I don't want to, like, the cash game quarterback poll just went up. I don't want to influence the poll. But I think that you're probably going Justin Fields or like Browning, like something along those lines. Browning is like 5,200. Fields is 6,900. And playing against the Lions, who have given up like the 4th most points against to opposing quarterbacks and allowed like over 28 points, almost 29 points a game the last 6 weeks. Like, they have not been good. They're still very good offensively, which is pushing them back into where they were last year, where it was as simple as stack the Lions and or stack the team playing the Lions and play one or two players from the opposing side. It was basically that easy. Gerson, thank you very much for the gifted sub. If you got a gifted sub, OSU Cowboy 2000, make sure that you say thank you and enjoy those emotes. Just feed Chase is all we asked for. Well, he definitely did that last week, right? We saw him do that last week. And guess what? It worked. Shockingly, that if you target Jamar Chase 12 times, he's going to do really good things. Now, if you take the 76-yard touchdown away, that's a pretty big play, right? He still has 10 catches for 75 yards, like roughly. Cough button is going to work overtime today. Apologies again ahead of time. But like, it's hard to fail on DraftKings. It's really hard to fail on DraftKings when you have that much volume. Like looking at Keenan Allen, it's hard to fail on DraftKings when you get that much volume. It's hard to fail on DraftKings when you get double-digit targets. Like failure is like 14 points, right? Just the points per target for a wide receiver are so tremendous that it's hard to fail when you get that much volume, which is why our philosophy on this channel has always been to target targets in every way possible, whether it's running back, whether it's wide receiver, tight end. We should be targeting targets like all the time. And that doesn't mean that that's always going to come through, because there's certainly paths for specific wide receivers to have ceiling games without a boatload of targets, right? So there's players that have done it. We've seen it. Like Deebo Samuel most recently comes to mind. 4 or less targets. Let's say since he came back from injury, 4 targets, no more than 4 in 3 of their last 4 games. These two are the more likely outcomes. He scored a touchdown on the ground against Jacksonville. And the difference between these 2 games against Tampa Bay and Jacksonville is that he scored that rushing touchdown. Basically 9 to 10 points a game on 4 targets. This game, 2 long touchdown catches. You're relying on Yak, but this game where he had 9 targets, 22.4 targets define the day. Outlier games can happen without a high target count. But if we're banking on something specifically for cash games, it's hard to lean, which is why when people ask me questions about is such and such cash game viable, I'm always going to default to guys who project to get more and more and more targets. I want to stuff as many targets as I can possibly stuff into my cash game lineup, which is why guys like Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, running backs who don't get targeted in the pass game are typically guys we don't play in cash. They're fine for tournaments, but their floor is much lower. Amon-Ra or Gibbs as a bring back. I mean, I always default to Amon-Ra, but he's much more expensive than Gibbs. Same with Laporta has been an excellent bring back. He's been outstanding. And working a tight end into a stack, like when games go completely nuclear, tight ends have more of a possibility of getting brought along with that, scoring a touchdown, getting 6, 7, 8 catches. Is Gibbs usable in Detroit stacks? You can, but I'm probably not thrilled to do it, considering that, like, it's not impossible. I think it's more viable when David Montgomery isn't playing. And with David Montgomery there, they basically eat up each other's upside. You require a big play. Makes them more tournament plays than cash. Montgomery a better play than Gibbs if we're to assume that the Lions are playing from ahead. He might get more carries, but carries aren't what provides upside. Touchdowns provide upside, and every target is worth 2.3 times as many fantasy points expected versus every 1 carry. 1 target is worth 2.3 times as many fantasy points on DraftKings with their scoring than every carry is worth. So like if Montgomery's going to get 17 carries and Gibbs gets 10 or 11, but Gibbs gets 5 or 6 targets, Gibbs is the much higher projectable player with a much higher ceiling. Is Roschon too thin for field stacks? Yeah, I'm not stacking a running back with Fields. The hope is that the Bears offense does not look like it looked against Minnesota, right? How many Browns players in cash is too many? I probably would not allow more than 2. 1, it's a low total game, so not a lot of touchdown upside. And it's not really a game, you have 2 guys that are cheap, which is kind of what we want to attack, and I get that. but it's also not a situation where like you want to load up on them. The chances for them to go bonkers is hard as a team. To score like what is the total? 32. So 16. They're favored by 3. So 1.5. Their team total is like 17.5. We like 24 and higher. 24 and higher is much better in terms of implied team totals. Kevin 89, thank you for the 61 months. Flacco in play this week again for GPP. Less so because the team total is much lower. Can we talk Keaton Mitchell? What do we project his usage to be? What do you guys think his usage is going to look like? Because that's kind of what it comes down to for me. Where do you think he's going to be in terms of his usage? Because that's always what it's going to come down to. They got 3 running backs. It's not like they're shy about using any of them. You know, they're going to use Keaton Mitchell. He is the one that has the most juice. Agree with that wholeheartedly. Lamar also could vulture touchdowns. Gus Edwards has vultured a ton of touchdowns. So last 2 weeks, let's go last 3 weeks. Gus Edwards played 19 of 71 snaps against the Chargers, 25 of 66 against the Bengals with 2 touchdowns, and 28 of 54 against the Browns, a game that they were up but ended up losing. Across the last 6 games, he had 0 touchdowns last week against the Chargers, but he had a touchdown against the Lions, 3 against the Cardinals, 2 against the Seahawks, 1 against the Browns, and 2 against the Bengals. Justice Hill, not playing a ton. 20 snaps, though, last week against the Chargers. 17 against the Bengals. 14 of 54 against Cleveland. He's not a non-factor. He's a tsetse fly. He's annoying as fantasy players. A player that's going to soak up 15 or 20 snaps as the third guy in a running back mix is annoying. Keaton Mitchell, last 4 weeks, has seen his snap count increase. He played 14 of 76 against the Seahawks. He played 13, so 1 less snap, but they only had 54 offensive plays against the Browns. So he played more, higher percentage, lower snap count. Against the Bengals, he played 24 of 66, so an increase there, and then 33 of 71 against the Chargers. So they're snapping him more, but like he's still not even at 50% of snaps. He's little. He's a wee lad. He's not somebody that we can count on for massive volume. So it almost feels like with Keaton Mitchell, you have to get lucky. You have to get lucky. You have to have a spot where he runs for a 60-yard touchdown. And look, as somebody who has enjoyed watching Devon Achane, somebody who really likes watching it when Keaton Mitchell has the ball in his hands, he's going to be on the field for 40, max 45% of the Ravens' offensive snaps. He will not be on the field inside the 5-yard line. He may not be on the field inside the 10-yard line, which to me signals that any touchdown upside that he has or multiple touchdown upside that he has to come on a very small amount of offensive plays and touches. He has not, in this whole last 4-week stretch, he has not had any more than 11 opportunities. 33 snaps, 11 opportunities against the Chargers. Yards per carry is great. Big playability is great. Like, he is just a tournament upside guy where you're hoping that he has one of these 14-point plays like he had against Seattle so that we can 4X and get him to like 20 fantasy points. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult for him to get there. Does weather in Baltimore scare you off? I don't pay attention to weather at all, like ever, until Sunday morning when I see the field. Don't make decisions on weather 48 hours before kickoff. Don't do that. Like, if you want to be mindful, like, I don't even look. I don't look until Sunday morning. Yeah, exclamation point weather in the chat. Mubot will tell you how I feel about weather. All that we care about with weather is like 30 mile an hour sustained wind. We care about that. And so much rain that it's like hurricane level, where there's puddles. Like when they run, they splash, right? That's what we're looking for. That would change my ownership. That would change the way I'm attacking. Because like, I'm sure there were people that aren't you worried about, people. I don't want to say bros because bros is way overplayed at this point. Sick of the bros. Everybody's a bro. Spreadsheet bros, opto bros, hand builder bros, weather bros. Aren't you worried about bros? Everybody's a bro. Sick of the bros. Too many bros. Everybody can't be a bro. Crypto bros, NFT bros. Everybody's a bro. Yeah. I'm more into guys. Reply guys. Yeah, that's a better one. Give me something different from the Super Mario Bros. I'm into Super Mario Bros. Love Super Mario Bros. Check this out, man. Like 6 people in the replies are going to get that. It's crazy. It's called Super Mario Bros. But like, I'm not going to think about weather. And I don't think that you should either. I really don't. I don't think you should think about weather at all until Sunday morning. Sunday morning, you can start thinking about weather. And only if it's like extreme weather events. It can be used as a tiebreaker. And chat, I'm going to ban all of you. Banning all of you. Pacheco not practicing Friday. Welp. Do we have that? Let me go look at Underdog, their news feed. If I could open this up, open a new tab. We'll look through the Underdog news feed. See what's been aggregated. Amari Cooper list is questionable for week 14. Dalton Schultz not expected to play week 14. Apparently there's a helicopter outstanding. Trevor Lawrence, this is what we said. So I haven't seen the thing yet. At least they haven't tweeted it yet about Pacheco. Pacheco had not practiced on Wednesday or on Thursday. So Pacheco had not practiced on Wednesday or Thursday. See, no new report yet, unless that just came through on the Twitter machine and the aggregators haven't done their aggregating job yet. Apache Gunship, yeah, game time decision. Pacheco's been a godsend the last 2 weeks. This is dream usage. I don't care if the Chiefs are boring this year versus past years, and they are. But like, if you give me a Chiefs running back that's getting the old Andy Reid deployment, the Jamal Charles deployment, the Kareem Hunt deployment, with just like 4 to 6 targets and 17 plus carries and all the inside the 5 work, that puts us in a spot where we can like really get after it. Now, he missed Wednesday practice and he missed Thursday practice. Chat is reporting, but I haven't seen it, so I can't verify yet. And it's not on Underdog, it's not anywhere else. But let's contemplate the ifs. If Isaiah Pacheco is out, I don't think that Jerick McKinnon plays like a 75% snap rate. I do think that CEH gets a much larger role and is 4,200 against Buffalo. I think he would probably play 60% of the snaps. I'm just thinking this through right now because it was always a possibility that if Pacheco was out. I do think that there is a much higher probability of Jerick McKinnon being GPP viable and being stackable with Mahomes if you wanted to go that route. If you wanted to go Mahomes, McKinnon, Kelsey, if you wanted to go Mahomes, McKinnon, Rice, those routes are way more viable with Pacheco out. But CEH as a standalone also is a solid play. In my opinion, without any projections having this projected yet, I think he would project for 60% of the snaps and touches at running back, is capable in the passing game, and Jerick McKinnon would soak up all the long down and distance and 2-minute drill work at running back for them. Let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. No, let's not do that yet. Let's do the cash game core that chat came up with. At quarterback, cash game core, their winner was Justin Fields. They had him ahead of Browning and ahead of Purdy, who's a couple hundred less than Justin Fields. Fields against Detroit last time ran for 104, 24.16 points against them. We've seen him post 4 touchdown games multiple times this year, 32 points. He has that type of ceiling. Really high floor based on the amount of rush attempts that he has every single week. 12, 18, 8, 11 in his last 4 games. And this wasn't even one where he started and finished. This was the game where he left early in the first half and was already starting to be off on a monstrous run against Minnesota. He is their cash game core quarterback. At running back, Christian McCaffrey. There are other routes that they can go. Obviously, Zach Moss is a solid play. If Pacheco is out, if Pacheco's in, he's a solid play in cash. If Pacheco's out, I think that you are going to see a lot of CEH at his price point because then you don't have to come up with a value wide receiver to just plug into that spot. You can definitely afford Christian McCaffrey. Even before any Pacheco injury, he's their guy there. At wide receiver, who was your wide receiver, chat? I missed the wide receiver. I saw it was a tie between 2 guys. I saw one of them. One of them was Jonathan Mingo at 3,500, coming off a 10-target game, 12 targets 2 weeks before that, 7 targets against Chicago. They square off against New Orleans. They also had Keenan Allen at 8,600. This one shocks me a little bit. He's fine. He's not who I have. So on the cheat sheet, I'll give you a little sneak preview. Keenan Allen is not in my cash game core, but that's who they had. And then at tight end, Isaiah Likely, 3,500 against the Rams, who one of the teams who has been attacked by tight ends this year. Higher targets, higher catches expectation, tons of snaps with Mark Andrews out. Think he's a fantastic play at 3,500. So let's go over to Underdog Fantasy now. Let's plug in some of those guys. Let's go with Fields. What do they have for Justin Fields? If you don't have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, make sure that you go get one right now. They give you up to $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site when you use the code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE, all one word. Let's say higher than 258.5. I need 259 combined. McCaffrey, what are they going to have for Christian McCaffrey? Yeah, higher than 17.5 rushing attempts. That's happening. Who was our other guy? Mingo, more than 3.5 receptions. You guys had Keenan Allen. Hashtag not my receiving guy. No, I'm not doing a Keenan Allen prop on this. I'm just going to go with Mingo. Deal with it. Likely, let's go higher than 34 receiving yards. There's your cash game core as selected by chat. We're going to play this for $100 to win 1,000. Boom. Plug it right in. Make sure that you get your account and go check out Underdog Fantasy. They have great best ball games as well as these pick'ems. They just launched their playoff best ball tournament. If you wanted to have a little bit of drafting fun again, now that the season is pretty much over and you can get involved in some best ball for the playoffs. Go to Underdog Fantasy today. DTR is healthy. Do they go back to him? Where did it say that? It says he's not listed on the injury report, but I just saw a tweet that said, oh, he has been cleared. Okay. I thought it said he has not been cleared. DTR has been cleared from protocol by one of the beat writers for Cleveland. That sucks. That's not great. I don't love that. I might have to change some stuff now because I don't really love that at all. I prefer the options in the Cleveland offense with Joe Flacco in there. It should be Flacco. I mean, I guess for fantasy wise, that really looks better for us when Joe Flacco's under center. There goes your Elijah Moore, cash game wide receiver lock, possibly. The game, thank you very much for the 3 months. Stefanski declined to name a starting quarterback. We'll know before lock. I want to see if the total changes. So where was it before? It was at 32.5 before that news came out. So monitor the total and see if Vegas thinks that DTR is the guy or if Joe's the guy. Is it a mistake to double Allen without Diggs? Not necessarily. Kansas City has been extremely good against primary wide receivers. They really have. He's done a great job. And there's enough options on the other side that you could make it work. I think that we have to be mindful of one thing though. So on Buffalo, one thing in particular, Buffalo ran a specific, Buffalo ran a very specific offense. The first, 6-7 weeks of the season. What was it? So the first 7 weeks of the season. When Dawson Knox was in, and they ran a lot of two tight end, and they ran a lot of Dawson Knox around the goal line, and they played a lot slower. And then without Dawson Knox, they went back to 3 wide receiver sets. Kincaid has not been asked to block. Look at his numbers, 6, 7, 6, 11, and 7 in terms of targets in the, since week 8 with Knox out. Before that, 4, 6, 2, 5, 2. This was the game Knox left, so we're not going to count that week because it was half a game. With Knox back, it would not be shocking to me to see them return to their 12 personnel, their 1 running back, 2 tight end, which kills Khalil Shakir, unfortunately. With Knox out, Khalil Shakir's snap rates have been tremendous. His target percentage has been higher. His routes run per game, higher. 6, 4, 2, 4, 5. Has always been a big play guy with a over 20-yard reception in every single game. Looking at him the first 6 weeks of the season, he wasn't on the field. He wasn't running routes. So Knox muddies the water. He really does. If Knox is activated, that certainly muddies the water. I'm fine with Gabe Davis. I'm fine with Steph Diggs. I'm fine with Kincaid. Those 3 guys are assured. Knox and Shakir become wild cards in the situation where Knox is back. And it makes it a tougher double stack to go with. Let's take a look. No, let's not take a look. Let's bring chat back. I don't want to take a look at nothing. Open a new tab. Do I have a team total threshold where I don't force a bring back? No, I have a team capability threshold Meaning like I don't force bringbacks from like the Giants or the Patriots, depending on situations. But like it doesn't mean that those teams can't do well. When they lose toys, like Ramondre was like the only Patriot, or like Devontae Parker once they started getting injured, or Demario Douglas. But like on the Giants, yeah, we've seen a couple of big games. Now that like, you know, their QB looks a little bit better, maybe we have more possibilities on offense, but they've been really bad in terms of volume. So like there were games that I wanted to have players that were playing against the Giants but not have any bringbacks because I didn't think that they could do enough. You know, I didn't think that they could do enough offensively to make sense of it. So it's not like a team total threshold, it's a competency threshold. Are Stroud stacks shaky this week? Yes. They're not in a great situation. They're not in a great game environment. It doesn't mean that Stroud and that offense can't have a good day. It's just that they're priced way up. I think that there are players on the Texans who are viable, but now you don't have a situation. They have beaten teams this year through the air by volume. And I don't mean volume of passes, and I don't mean volume of targets. I specifically mean volume of wide receivers. Your primary guy, your primary wide receiver typically gets a primary cornerback. The Jets have like the best one. Sauce Gardner is extremely talented. Opposite him, they have another top 10 corner in the league. They have a defensive line that creates a lot of pressure, and they just don't, they smother you. And so it's hard to attack them and be efficient and get volume and everything else. So like now with that you remove Tank Dell, it's not like, well, they have 3 or 4 really good wide receivers and a tight end. Now it's like they got Brevin Jordan and they got Noah Brown and Bobby Trees, and Nico's going to be on Sauce Island. So it's a much tougher situation from a standpoint of how do you win against that environment. So like, let's take a look at some of the quarterbacks here. Let's go over to the solver. If you do not have an account, over at thesolver.com, go to smizzle.tv/solver. I built 278 lineups around a whole bunch of different quarterback double stacks and bringbacks. Seems like in large field, they really like Browning. There's one thing that I see a lot of here in the high sim ROIs there, and it's Browning and then a sprinkle of Geno and a sprinkle of Purdy. Taking a look at single entry, smaller field, a lot more Geno, a little bit of Josh Allen doubles in there. Here's a lonely Lamar. You can see the ROIs are lower because there's not $1 million up top. The percentage of the time that these lineups are projected to finish in the top 1%. You can click on them. You can see this one, 3.2% in the top 1% with that build. And on the other side, that Geno lineup, it might be the same one. This one is almost 4% in the top 1% in larger field mass multi-entry. If you don't have an account, go to smizzle.tv/solver and check out all the great tools that they have with their lineup builder for NBA and NFL, as well as their fantastic new Sims tool to help you build better lineups smartly. Geno is surprising, right? Can you give any tips on what I look at in simulations? Just ROI? ROI, overweighting in the top 1%, things along those lines. Again, it's like they simulate like 10,000 the games 10,000 times, and they run your lineup 10,000 times with the projections and the ownership projections and what the field is projected to do with the levels of randomness that football brings along with it. It's a tool. It's not the be all end all. If you were to make a bunch of lineups and just play the top 10 simmed lineups every single week, or like if you're a 20 max player and you play the top 20 simmed lineups that you had every single week, maybe you win, maybe you don't. The ball bounces in weird ways. It's an oblong ball. It's not shaped roundly. So like we can do all the math and probability and stack all the advantages that we can as much as we possibly can. But like randomness is still a part of this game. Thoughts on Jefferson this week? I'm happy he's back. I'm really happy that he's back. Football's better when all the best players are healthy and active and playing. You're going to be in Idaho this weekend. They don't have DK. Has anyone used VP? I have not. So I don't know. That's something you should probably discuss in Discord and not on a live stream with, going out on YouTube later today to thousands of people where they say, hey, I think this guy is playing illegally. Probably shouldn't do that. Maybe behind the paywall in Discord. Have you ever looked back to see how the Sims did after the main slate ended? A little bit, but not much. I have an idea. Hey, anyone want to rob a bank later? Yeah, exactly. Don't tell anyone. Non-main slate question. How wide do I see the difference between CD and Hill? I haven't dug into it. Hill's just better than everybody. I haven't dug into anything not main slate. I kind of have to, focus to be able to know as much as I have to know about the thing that's directly in front of me. My accountant once told me he has to know everything about this next tax deadline. And then as soon as that tax filing is filed, he forgets everything he knew about that one and works on the next one. So like, I won't even think about Sunday night showdown or Monday night showdown until after lineups lock on Sunday morning. So I haven't thought about those players. For the solver, do I use projection, ceiling, or a combination? Usually a combination. They have like a 50-50 option to build. Yeah, Hill is a problem for future Al. Is Moss fadeable at the new price? In tournaments, everyone's fadeable. Everything is fadeable in tournaments. But you want to do it smartly. I'm not going to fade somebody just for the sake of fading him. Like, it's the Jedi meme, right? You kind of have to think about how you're doing things. And like, sometimes the idiots can be right, where they're like, Moss is this percent, I'm going to fade him. Like, what if he gets hurt? Like, I get it. Like, yeah, what if he gets hurt? But then also, what if he doesn't? What do you have to do to beat the ownership projection? What's the percentage of time? This is where sims really come into play to help. What's the percentage of time that your Moss lineups end up in the money? What's the percentage of time? What's the ROI on your Moss lineups? What's the percentage of time, the probability that Moss scores the amount of points that you need Moss to score at his price for you to be satisfied? Let's say for you to be tournament viable at 5,900, you need like 24 DraftKings points or more. What percent of the time does Moss score 24 plus DraftKings points in this matchup? And if that number is higher than the percentage, the probability is higher than the percentage played, you're on the right side of the math. The sims take it a step further. The sims are going to simulate the sheet. They're going to simulate the run 10,000 times. And they're going to tell you that this play at that percentage is still a good play because of how many times you finish in the top 10% and how many times you finish in the top 1%, which is really where you need to be. You need your lineups in the top 1% because you're one play away. Case in point, last week, Purdy stacks that had Devontae Smith as a bringback. Devontae on fourth down had an end zone target that was incomplete. Let's find somewhere in the metaverse, somewhere in the multiverse where he catches that pass. And he ends the day, instead of at 95 yards, at 120. Instead of one touchdown, he has two. He has one more catch. That catch alone was worth 14 points with the bonus, the touchdown, the catch, the yardage. Those lineups that had Devontae Smith alongside Debo, Ayuk, or Debo, McCaffrey, Purdy are in a different world today because of that one catch. They were in the top 1% already, but that one catch changes everything. So the key is put yourself, as always, how many times have you heard me say this? Put yourself in a position to get lucky. Because yes, luck is a factor in daily fantasy. You're going to have to get lucky to win. The skill is putting yourself in the best position time and time again, slate after slate, to be able to have that play get completed for you with the right players in your lineup to make the difference late in the day so that you can take down a tournament. That's going to do it for this week's video. The cheat sheet is going to be live in Discord by the time you watch this. Make sure that you get there, smizzle.tv/Discord. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.